Hillary Clinton is responsible for making mass nuclear weapons available to both Russia and Iran, and I'm going to explain why right here, and you can look at everything that I'm saying, look it all up and verify if what I'm saying is true. But first I'd like to start out with quoting her on a few things that she's said about Iran and nuclear weapons and why you can never trust her. Okay, so here's Clinton addressing Iran. She says, the United States will never allow you to acquire a nuclear weapon. And she added, we will not hesitate to take military action if Iran attempts to obtain a nuclear weapon. Now, here's the thing. Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, was directly responsible for this mass sale of uranium to the Russian government, which Russia supplies Iran with their uranium and their weaponry. So what you have is uranium makes nuclear bombs and nuclear weapons. That's what uranium is for. How this all went down was that back in 2005, Bill Clinton went out to, he had a friend named Frank Giustra, and this Giustra guy, he wanted to buy some uranium mines that were in Kazakhstan. Let me make sure I'm saying that right. Kazakhstan. And so with that, what he did is his friend wanted to buy those mines in Kazakhstan, and get the uranium out of them. So Bill Clinton flew out to Kazakhstan, and he and his friend Frank Giustra went to the presidential palace and met with their president there. The president's name is a little bit difficult to pronounce, but it is the president of Kazakhstan is Nazarbayev. And so President Nazarbayev, Bill Clinton, and Frank Giustra, who wanted to buy the uranium mines from Kazakhstan, had a long meeting in the palace. Now, afterwards, what happened was Bill Clinton came out right after that and publicly endorsed the president of Kazakhstan. And he said, this guy's a great guy. He's all about human rights. You know, he's a great ruler. Well, the problem with that statement, first off, is that he's not. It's an authoritarian regime, and they have had rigged elections with up to 98% voting supposedly for President Nazarbayev. At any rate, the press was harassed, people were threatened, and they were not allowed to vote for anybody else. So just like with North Korea and Kazakhstan, this person gets voted in with no real choice of the people. There's no opposition. There's no other choice. And so Bill Clinton endorses this guy publicly on the news for this president, endorses his rule for the Kazakhstan people to see this, that here's Bill Clinton, he's got this, reputation. This does good for the president of Kazakhstan. At any rate, the next thing that happens is, after this meeting, Bill Clinton endorses the president there. After that, the president gives Bill Clinton's friend, Frank Giustra, lets him buy those mines in Kazakhstan. Now, once Giustra gets the mines that he wanted, he gives Bill Clinton $31 million and promises an additional $100 million will go to the Clinton Foundation in exchange for Giustra getting these uranium mines in Kazakhstan. So, at any rate, what happens next is that his friend is part of a Canadian investment team, and Frank Giustra, and so now he's got these uranium mines. But what he does is he starts buying more mines, and pretty soon a company emerges called Uranium One. Now, Uranium One has a lot of Canadian investors involved in it, but it does take in about half of what we produce in uranium. Our projected production of uranium in America goes into the company Uranium One. Now, when Secretary of State Hillary Clinton became Secretary of State in 2009, this is the same time that the Russian government then sought to buy the company Uranium One, which is actually a major security issue, because giving uranium, half of our production of uranium to Russia, well, like I said, uranium makes nuclear bombs and it makes nuclear weapons. This is giving this to Russia, knowing that Russia supplies Iran, is like giving the nukes directly to Iran and obviously directly to Russia. So anyways, Russia wants to buy Uranium One. Answer is no. And so $145 million later in donations to the Clinton Foundation through 8 different Canadian investors in Uranium One, they invested in these investors donated, I mean, unbelievable. The exact number of money that they did, it was, I want to say it was $125 million, but there was other investments on top of that, which makes it really confusing because it's even more money. But at any rate, they give all this money to the Clinton Foundation, and suddenly Secretary of State Hillary Clinton signs off Uranium One to Russia. Now Russia has more uranium than anybody in the world, and they are known for a fact that they take that uranium, they take weapons, they sell them to Iran. So this gives Iran the ability to have a nuclear bomb that could blow us off the face of the planet. Not just Israel, us. We've been trying to keep nuclear weapons out of the hands of Iran for a long time for good reason. But for enough money, as Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton handed our uranium that makes nuclear weapons to Russia, knowing, like everybody does, especially people the Secretary of State knows, knowing that Russia sells their uranium straight to Iran. Now, this is very hypocritical on her part, because I'm going to quote her right here. Once again, she said, when it comes to addressing Iran, the United States will never allow you to acquire a nuclear weapon. Then she added, we will not hesitate to take military action if Iran attempts to obtain a nuclear weapon. Hillary Clinton knowingly gave the biggest uranium supply to Russia, knowing they would give it to Iran for a fact. Yet she says right here, we'll never allow you to acquire a nuclear weapon, while she's supplying them nuclear weapons for a price. Next, she says, we should anticipate, this is Hillary Clinton, we should anticipate that Iran will test the next president to see if they'll allow them to get nuclear weapons. They've already tested Hillary Clinton, and she passed with flying colors apparently, because she's perfectly fine with giving Iran nuclear weapons. Here's one more quote from her. Hillary Clinton said, I would support his agreement. She's talking about this agreement to keep nukes out of Iran. For 1 second, if I thought I would support his agreement for 1 second if I thought it put Israel in greater danger. She said, I know well that the same forces that threaten Israel threaten the United States. To the people of Israel, you will never have to question whether we are with you. The United States will always be with you. The United States will always be with you, Hillary Clinton said to Israel, while she is behind supplying Iran with nuclear weapons. Whoa. And all of this stuff was covered on Fox News, it was covered on CNN, but it was only covered for like a day. And now the media says nothing about it. So you can verify the Clinton cash book, but this stuff was all verified by various journalists. It's all true. It's a fact. It was reported heavily for a day or so, and it's been dropped ever since. They don't even talk about it. When they interview Hillary Clinton, they don't bring this up. Now, when she says to New York and America, I've got your back, take it just like Israel should take it when she tells them she has their back, but then gives the uranium for nuclear weapons to Russia, knowing that Russia supplies uranium to Iran. That's scary. She did that for money to the Clinton Foundation, and God only knows what other reasons. She talks about us worrying about Donald Trump having nuclear codes. She's handing nukes. She's handing America's uranium for nuclear bombs to Russia and Iran. It's documented fact. This is scary shit, okay? If this doesn't freak you out, I don't know what could. Because this is beyond. This is unacceptable in every way, shape, and form. So, further, I'd like to say, to finish this off, actually, when they were in the middle of making the bit more additional business deals with Kazakhstan, and you have the Westinghouse in America who does produce uranium. Kazakhstan wanted to meet with Westinghouse to get some of that uranium, get in on some of the deals. And what Bill Clinton did is he had a meeting at the Clinton House in New York. When he was asked by a journalist about this, he said there was never any meeting. The problem is that the president of Kazakhstan has pictures of this meeting in frames all over his office. And when this was exposed, Bill Clinton then backtracked and said, oh, well, yeah, I guess we did have a meeting with this country and, Westinghouse giving them more uranium. It all happened. So he lied. He bold-faced lied about that. And Hillary is bold-faced lied. Now, the next one I wanted to say is I noticed that Senator Sanders said tonight something, it was in the C-SPAN interview, and he was talking about how he was no longer a candidate and he was hoping he would still be able to speak at, on the platform. And what I'd like to say about that is platform promises are null and void. Platform promises don't mean jack diddly squat. The reason why platform promises are completely irrelevant. Any platform policies, they're irrelevant. Here's the reason why. Because when Hillary Clinton became Secretary of State, she took a vow to the President of the United States of America that she would disclose all of her donors to the Clinton Foundation and that she would not give anybody a special favor or a position or special business deals for Clinton Foundation donations. But she did. If she's so brazen that she would make a vow to the President of the United States and break it without fear of reproach, do you think she will keep a vow to you about platform policies or about raising minimum wage or about anything that Bernie Sanders is going to bring up on those policy platforms? If they don't already align with what she wants to do, those platform policies are done. They're squat. She will violate an oath to the President of the United States. She violated a promise to do this. Not only that, tax refunds online, her taxes online that she's always talking about. Oh, my taxes, 35 years of taxes, they're all online. Well, when they researched this thing with Uranium One and the Canadian investors, what they found is that Hillary Clinton, in fact, did not put into her tax forms all the money she received, millions of dollars, from investors from Canada for their Uranium One project, right? But they gave her that money, so she signed off on Russia getting the uranium. I know this can get a little confusing. I'll put up a bunch of links at the bottom, and you can check it all out yourself because it's all true, and it is insane. My fear is this woman is going to start what we would call the Third World War. And she will lie to your face. We have to get the rigged electric voting machines that can be hacked into, that are outlawed in other countries, out of this country before the general election. Because they're going to do to us just like what was done in Kazakhstan, which, by the way, President Obama congratulated this authoritarian regime, dictator in Kazakhstan. He actually wrote him a letter congratulating him on his victory in the elections in Kazakhstan. The elections in Kazakhstan were so rigged that people in all these other countries were following it because it was beyond rigged. The guy got up to in one election, 98% of the vote. That's not even possible. Other stories place him at above 90% of the vote went towards him. He runs unopposed. There's no democracy. It reminds me of Sanders, Obama congratulating a dictator on a completely rigged election, like it's North Korea style, man. There's no choice. Congratulating him on it, and reminds me of Sanders congratulating Hillary on her stolen victory. There's a problem here. We don't address the election fraud. I think that the jig is up, man. Look, Charles Koch, he likes Hillary Clinton. The whole all the Republican elites have now started going over to Hillary Clinton. There's not a division between Democrats and Republicans. You know, people have been saying it's like one party. Well, it is like one party. And that's a bad thing. Because the divisions, they keep us straight. We need division. We need disagreement. When they unite on the same page, it's sort of like if we can have entrenchment of power in any government. But as long as they have competing powers, it puts them somewhat in check. But when they stop competing and they join together, if they're entrenched and corrupt, there will never be a way to break them back down or unentrench them without an apocalypse. Sorry, I know I sound very extreme here, but you really need to think about this. Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, gave uranium to Russia. Half of our projected production of uranium that comes out of America is going to Russia and then to Iran. She okayed this. That's nuclear weapons. And yet she says, you know, we will never allow Iran to get a nuclear weapon. And I will never give special favors. And I'll give you a better wage, too. And I'll follow these platform policies. No, she won't. If she doesn't fear disregarding and disrespecting and totally blatantly breaking a vow to the President of the United States of America, she will break a vow to you. She will break a vow to anyone. There's no price. There's nothing that she wouldn't do for a price. Think about Iran having nuclear weapons because of America now. Think about that for a minute. They have the capacity with nuclear weapons to blow us off the map. If they even have nuclear weapons, Israel already talks like they get nukes. We're going to blow them up before they can blow them at us. Couple of nukes fly off Iran, Israel. You're looking at World War III, guys. In this election, there was mass voter fraud. Mass voter fraud. Studies were done on this, and they were like, it's the voting machines. They went through a system where they study out election results, and the odds of her winning in the places where she won landslides it didn't fit with what actually happened. And so they ran a model that's been used for 56 years that has never flagged election fraud unless the election fraud was there, and it was flagged in this recent, Democratic primaries for election fraud. But specifically, the places she won where we have those electronic voting machines that can be hacked by a child with an 8th grade education. My God. Really? Really? Because we have to get these voting machines straightened out. Because it's not, like I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. It's not going to matter who wins the popular vote. If it's a third party, if it's Trump, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter, Jill Stein, doesn't matter, because Hillary will hack her team. They're going to hack those machines. They're going to rig the election. And we're going to have to take it. And think about what could be her agenda in giving Russia and therefore Iran half of our uranium, and Russia now has the cornerstone. It has more uranium than anybody else in the world now for making nuclear bombs, which they pass on to Iran. What could be her possible goal? Is it just because she would take money and she would start a nuclear war given enough money and destroy the whole world? What's her agenda here? Because this is disturbing. As Secretary of State, she was not naive to these things. Now, what's also disturbing is that Obama knew she broke the oath. Because selling uranium, this is not like selling Kit Kat. It's a big deal. It has to do with national security. And she broke that, and he still signed off. That is disturbing. At any rate, let me know what you think. I don't think Hillary Clinton can be trusted. Like I said, if as Secretary of State she violated with the President of the United States an oath